Alright, welcome back to Divinity Original Sin 2. Honor Mode Plus, twice the enemies and only 1/4 of the experience run. I was thinking about which of the content pieces we have missed, and there was actually one. And we are going to do that right now before we are continuing to head towards west in our quest to liberate all of the Driftward coast, or rather Rebirth Coast. So, the little bit of content that we have missed was the cellar of the fisherman's house. And I felt that we might want to get in there rather sooner than later. So let's lockpick our way in. And there we go. That's 5000 XP straight. And we're going to find some source weapons down here. And a little bit of a fight as well. Should be more interesting though than the fights that we had originally. The last ones in Wrecker's Cave, I never made a secret out of it, but I did not enjoy the longevity of the fights, to be honest. They were not balanced quite well. Whatever the modder had included, the Vampiric Voidwoken definitely had been a little bit too much for my taste. So we needed to cheese our way through, and I'm not a big fan of cheesing our way through. So, this here is the hidden cellar, and as it turns out, not only do we find like tons and tons of good loot in here, because we can use the fishes a little bit later for the herb mixes, we are also going to find some Voidwoken weapons. They are, I think, level 9 and they're not leveling up. Oh, look at that. Well, I was about to say, look here, there are the Voidwoken weapons and they are being guarded by these volatile Voidlings. But apparently, since we are anyways playing in Honor Mode Stupid Run, this here seems to be already populated. I think the creator of the mod once said that he couldn't kind of fit these monsters into the spawning table, so he decided to put them in as standing monsters, which is fine, I guess. But it just creates these weird situations where we're now fighting through a door again. I don't even know if you can lockpick it during the combat, and the door has no level, which means we're basically, again, fighting a stupid fight. Anyways, I wanted to double check a couple of new abilities. Number one, our artillery plant that I have created. So that's our plant. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the first time that I'm using that I'm actually using that spell regularly. So let's see how that one will turn out. As always, we're just buffing everyone before the combat starts. I'm trying to open the door, to be honest, afterwards. Okay, there we go. Good. Anyways, we do not have much of an angle on these creatures. And to be honest, the Voidlings here are not even really like scary at all. They are actually quite vulnerable to fire, but the later ones that are going to spawn should have a fire aura even. So these are not exactly the Voidlings that I'm used to. On my Tactician run, I think they were even immune to fire. Well, anyways. Yeah, I was afraid that might happen. Path being interrupted. We have a couple of shots that we can take there. Yeah. Never mind. I mean, what we could do is we could. That's actually a good idea. We could teleport the storage key over, because the storage key should open the door. Yeah, let's try that. It's also kind of anticlimactic because I wanted to go through the whole area. You would see that there are a couple of traps in the area, and at the end you're actually reaching this room, and this is supposed to be a big surprise fight. But yeah, it isn't really now. During the last game session, by the way, I looked up if there would be any mod to speed up the gameplay. The only mod that exists to speed up the gameplay is a mod that increases the out of combat movement speed by 25%. Unfortunately, the in combat movement speed hasn't really, or the general animation speed is really not targeted. So we're taking the key, getting it here, pick up the key. So we need to move anyways, because we can't stand in front of the door. Such a nice movement animation, by the way. And there's this door just about to be opened. Wonderful. All right, if Lois is standing in fire, her actual costs are becoming cheaper. Which means all of this here is just a huge escalation. Her fire magic becomes super cheap. Very well. So good. Together with fire magic, it's actually not bad. There we go. Almost all of them dead. I'm thinking about just spawning the other ones, to be honest. Putting ourselves in here just to spawn the other ones. And that has been the encounter. Some of our characters haven't even acted during the whole encounter. Well, good job. There's a second part to it, because as always, I think the normal encounter should be unaffected by it, which is effectively spawning them when you search through one of the crates over there. Good, let's get everyone in position. I'm pretty sure the normal guys were immune to fire, so I'm just summoning a physical damage dealer because it doesn't matter. The voidlings do not have any armor whatsoever. So the real encounter starts normally when you're opening this chest here. Not only do you get 8,000 experience, you also get the weapons, and there you go. That's the normal encounter that I'm used to. And they do have fire immunity, as I was saying. Here you go. So they have permanent fire immunity and immunity to burning, which kind of is their thing. The way I dealt with them was quite simple. I wanted to freeze as many of them as possible, which I did with lows. And from there onwards, it's really not much of an issue. They do not necessarily hit very hard, and as you can see, once you start hitting them, you almost automatically gain like extra AP and so on, because they seldomly last more than one hit. Okay, so with Saiken, we're going to do the grand entry thing. Basically kill all of them. Well, half of them are already dead. I think that fight is not going to last very long. Probably would have been a decent challenge if I would have done it at level 9. One difficulty in this combat is to detect how many of them are really still alive, because they die so fast. Well, there we go. I think it's one left. Zero left. So yeah, that was the fun encounter in the basement of the fishery. These here are the level 8 unique weapons. I think for level 8 they are pretty fine. So forged weapons do have a rune slot. Decent, but I think the weapons in Act 1 that we had were almost of the same caliber. Can't really 100% remember it, but I would say give and take they are similarly strong. So yeah, I guess for those who haven't done a proper job in getting weapons in Act 1, that's a good opportunity here to just gain some nice weapons. And it's a two-hand weapon plus a crossbow, which is always a good source for the main damage dealers to get physical weapons. Good, so yeah, that really has been it. I'm going to clean up the cellar here, and we're going to see each other in the next video where we are tackling the 2 open quests in the western part of the Driftwood.